And you must know how to write a chemical equation, how to balance that chemical equation, and Avogadro's number and the mole. Now, if you don't understand about chemical equations or the mole, then you need to go back, learn about some of my other lessons, and get down this idea about mole and the chemical equations. You've got to be able to write a chemical equation. You've got to be able to balance a chemical equation. Okay? So, are you ready? Let's get started. Remember that a chemical equation is just like a recipe. It has ingredients, which are the reactants, and it tells us how much of each of the reactants we have or need. It also tells us about the products and how much of each of those. So a chemical equation is very much like a recipe. And let's take a look at this old-fashioned recipe here. And if you're wondering, is that really for biscuits? Yes. It's my biscuit recipe. Makes some great biscuits. And if you look at that recipe, it's 4 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1½ cups milk, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/3 cup shortening, and it yields 24 biscuits. And so this recipe here is very much like what a chemical equation is. But what if you only had 2 cups of flour? Could you still make biscuits? How many? And what stops you from making 24 biscuits? The flour is the limiting ingredient. You need 4 cups of flour, but you only have 2 cups of flour. Therefore, you could only make half as many of the biscuits. Why? Because the flour is keeping you from going on. You need more flour if you're going to make more biscuits. So, you can only make 12 biscuits. The limiting reactant is the reactant in short supply. Just like flour was in short supply in the recipe for biscuits, in a chemical reaction, the limiting reactant will be the one that is going to run out first. Thus, you can use the limiting reactant to find out the amount of product possible. You can't get any more product than what the amount of the least reactant. Think about that. Let's review. Start with a balanced equation. Change grams of reactants to moles. And you're going to use the molar mass of the reactants for that. Determine the limiting reactant. Find the moles of the product. Find the grams of the product.